Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Jyotish or astrology, the eye of the Vedas, because you have a great knowledge of the Vedas too.
There are angels in the distance, but you don't talk to them. They're just over there somewhere. But in the Vedic culture, the Devas and Devis are running Prakriti.
The very special thing about you that you used all the Sanskrit words, not the words which were used in Christianity.
Gita is the very essence of the Mahabharata. And the Mahabharata is the story of the supreme being that everyone else calls God. In the Vedic culture, we call him Bhagavan. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, matak sarvam prabhartate, iti madva bhajanti mam. Buddha bhava samanvitamach chitamad gata prana, bodhiyantak paras param, kathiyantas chamam nityam, tushanti cha ramanti cha tesham satata yuktanam, bhajatam pritipurvakam.
Astrology is a tool. Can we use it as a predictive astrology? Can we predict our future?
Astrologers are not supposed to make predictions, and they're not supposed to tell people what to do. They're supposed to help the people to understand the process of how the universe works.
So if you want to stay connected with Times Mantra, you just need to like the video, subscribe the channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon. We have a very special guest with us, Jeffery Armstrong, who is a poet, who is an author, who is a relationship expert, Ayurvedic astrologer, and who practices Vedic astrology as well. And this is the main subject that we are going to talk about today. A very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. It is indeed. And it's lovely to be here with you all, especially on such interesting topics. So, very nice. And I always say at the beginning, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, because the many gurus who've made all of us awake are here with us.
That's a wonderful start. And since I am also going through with your profile, and you have been practicing Vedic astrology and all these practices as well since 40 years. I just want to understand this, that what actually drew you towards Vedic astrology or Hinduism?
Well, obviously a previous life. That's the first thing. And also a movement in history, which took place during the 60s, where psychedelics blew open the door to India. I don't know if you know this, but all of the people who were promoting psychedelics ended up bringing Ravi Shankar to the United States and around the world to play sitar. And they weren't drug addicts. These were enhancements of our sensory capability. They're not like an addictive drug. They're a drug that tries to take consciousness to a higher level than it can usually go to. They were used in the cultures that originated them for exactly that, as a form of initiation. So I encountered all of the Asian cultures, and Bharat in particular, during that psychedelic era. And then way back then, I quit psychedelics entirely, never touched them since, nor any intoxicating substance. So I have not touched alcohol, anything intoxicating or addicting or anything like that. But at that time, this was opening doors and windows to the knowledge of the world, but in particularly, the gurus of Bharat were now getting their voices heard throughout the world. I was one of the fortunate recipients of that. I spent 5 years in an ashram as a brahmachari, wearing a dhoti with a ponytail in the Krishna consciousness movement of K.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I then got a guru of Jyotishi and from India, from Bharat. I was one of the first 3 people in the United States to do Vedic astrology. And then I went back to university because I already had 5 years of university degrees in psychology, history, and comparative religion. I went to Hawaii, and there I learned Sanskritam with a Benares Pundit who had memorized the 2,000 grammatical rules of the Ashtadhyayi Panini. So I had 3 gurus: Sanskrit, Jyotish, and Vedanta, and spent 7 or 8 years studying them diligently, getting qualified to speak on them. And then for the last 30 years, this is all I have done.
All right. Since you are also connected, you were also actually born in Christianity, right? So obviously there is Western astrology too. How is that? Like you have chosen Vedic astrology or Parashari astrology over Western astrology, or you can tell me the difference between.
Well, Western astrology is not sidereal, so it doesn't use the correct calculations. You could think that, including Christianity, Islam, Judaism, all of these religions are deviations from the Veda. They are all nothing new and unique in them. They simply have taken parts of that ancient Vedic Vidya and turned it into their own particular branch of knowledge that they could be authorities on. But I have a degree in history and comparative religion, so I actually took the trouble to study all of those religions under a microscope before I settled my viewpoints on them. But what I can see and could see because of that was simply that they took the little bit of knowledge they had and said there's only one lifetime. And by doing that, they frightened everyone and said, this is your last chance, hurry up and make a decision, pulled their guns out and told everyone what to do. This is exactly the opposite of the Vedic culture. Aham Brahmasmi, we're all immortal beings. You don't have to do anything right now in terms of finishing with being here within matter. And the matter itself has 8,400,000 species of life, 8 million of which are not human and 400,000 of which are, according to the Vedas. So this is the context that I stepped into. And I actually worked at a metaphysical bookstore as well, and was a leader in the psychedelic era when it took place. Subsequently, like I said, I just was a Vedic practitioner. I went into the ashram, did the necessary tapasya as a brahmachari, and I've been married to my partner, Sandy, now for 30 years.
Okay.
And what we've done together, peace with now.
And there is one very interesting thing about you, that you also practice Ayurveda, which is the Indian cultural technique to heal people. And Ayurvedic therapies are like, how did you get into Ayurveda as well?
All of these required gurus and do require gurus. But that one was the one I spent the least time, and was more at a distance. So once I had formal gurus in Vedanta, in Sanskrit, and these other disciplines, Jyotish, then eventually I became qualified to hear and learn and understand at a deeper level the Ayurveda as well. But I wouldn't call myself an Ayurvedic practitioner, not capable at that level. I do call myself a Jyotishi.
Okay.
So
But is there any connection between astrology and Ayurveda?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the whole point of this conversation is that there is a connection, and the most important one is Kalo Hismin. Krishna says, I'm time. So it is only when you have a long view of time that any of this is possible to understand. And but the Abrahamic religions and modern science do not have is a view of reality as many lifetimes. So in the absence of that, you're a Duratma, small-minded, instead of Mahatma. And now this is the next thing. When I go to talk to someone, I try to find out by asking questions, are they adhikari? For what level of learning are they adhikari? Because their qualification, I don't want to push them past their qualification. That's disrespectful. I want to ascertain their level and then teach at that level. Just like with children, if you went to a grade school, kindergarten's different than third grade, different than sixth grade. And if you keep going, different than high school. So think of human beings living many, 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 many lifetimes. And this is the pivot. Until you embrace that, none of this makes sense. But this is the worldview of the Vedic culture. No one can die. There is no such thing as death.
Okay.
That's the individual can't die.
But soul never.
Their vehicle will, but they can't. There's not only two levels, but I'm the driver and this is the automobile. And that's that.
Okay. Now, I just want to understand that what makes Jyotish or astrology the eye of the Vedas, because you have a great knowledge of the Vedas too.
Yes. Well, because there's a language in the cosmos, because this is the next piece to what I just said. In the Abrahamic traditions, there are angels in the distance, but you don't talk to them. They're just over there somewhere. But in the Vedic culture, the devas and devis are running Prakriti. Behind this entire thing we call the material world are devas and devis, and you can and should talk to them, get to know them. And the thing that is so unique about the Vedic culture is mantras are the direct dial phone number for reality. So all the departments of reality that make a universe possible, each of those departments called a devi and a deva and a department of functionality that is sustained by those beings working in cooperation with the Supreme Being, Sri Bhagavan. So this is the Vedic worldview. And therefore, each of us can direct dial through their mantra all of these devas and devis. And this is recommended. This is especially if we understand they're not the ultimate. And we don't ask them for something. We say, what can I do? If you knew all the politicians in the country you live in on a first name basis and had their phone number, what would you say to them? Would you call them up and tell them what to do? No. You'd call them up and say, how can I be of service?
Yes.
Welcome to the Vedic culture. And so few people understand this. And even those promoting it often do so in a doctrinal way or a dogmatic way from a particular lineage. But this world is the essence of the whole thing. Now you're a Mahatma, a Maha-Atma. You see the big picture. And this is critical. And this is something that I have chosen to represent through the Jyotishi, through the Sanskritam, and then, of course, through the Vedas. And that's why I did a translation of the Bhagavad Gita. It's the user's.
Yes, you did translation of Bhagavad Gita, and that's the very special thing about you, that you used all the Sanskrit words, not the words which were used in Christianity. What is so special about it, and what is this idea and thought about this? Can you give us any verse of Bhagavad Gita that you translated? Because I know you speak Sanskrit very well.
The most important thing anyone can do is ask someone who knows a subject, could you tell me the essence of this subject? Just so I have the big picture of where we're going. And then a proper teacher does this. They say, okay, so there's a lot of details to this, and we don't want to go off into left field over here. We want to start in the very center. And so if we do this with the Vedas, then the Bhagavad Gita is the book that's used as the user's manual for the whole culture. In other words, the one book religions only have one book, and then a bunch of humans write books, but they're not ever equal to that one book. In this case, the Bible or the Quran, or whatever. But the Bhagavad Gita is the very essence of the Mahabharata. And the Mahabharata is the story of the supreme being that everyone else calls God. In the Vedic culture, we call him Bhagavan. Bhagavan Sri Krishna descended to Mata Bhumi, planet Earth, 7,000 years ago, was here on the ground, the supreme being, and spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna so that we would have it. Now, then if you ask, so what is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita? The answer, according to the Acharyas, is chapter 10, verses 8, 9, 10, and 11. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, matak sarvam pravartate, iti madva bhajanti mam, buddha bhava samanvita chita madgata prana, bodhiyanta karasparam, kathayantas chamam nityam, tushanti cha ramanti cha tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam, dadami buddhi yogam tvam, gena mam upayanti te, tesham evanukam partham, aham agyanajam tamaha, nashyami atma bhavasta, jnanadipena basvataha. This is the essence now, in English. The Supreme Person is on earth 7,000 years ago, speaking through another human being named Arjuna on our behalf so that we will have the essence of ultimate knowledge. And these 4 verses I just recited in Sanskrit, in English, are the Supreme Ultimate Person, source of everything, is talking and says, I am the source of everything. From me the entire creation flows. Knowing this, the wise adore me with all their heart. Their thoughts dwell in me, their lives are surrendered unto me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. To those who are constantly devoted and adore me with purest love, I give the understanding by which they may come to me. Out of compassion for them, I, who am dwelling within their hearts, destroy the darkness born of ignorance with the shining lamp of Vedic knowledge.
Let's talk about Vedic astrology. Do you think Vedic astrology is predictive? Can we do predictions with that?
Yes, we could, but it's not recommended. Not in such a way that we would use it to manipulate or gain an advantage over others. But let's just say it's the inside story. Why? Because we're all immortal beings who cannot die. So when we come into a particular body and inhabit it, we've already had hundreds of lifetimes before that in human bodies and in all the other species. So just think, we're at the end of 8 million births, then we have 40 or 50 human births and get ready to go to college and get to a higher level of being human. Now we're ready to read the Bhagavad Gita. Now we're ready to learn who we really are. But the humans who are not ready yet are going to take 10, 20 more lifetimes before they're even ready. Why? Because they're here to experience it.
No, but I mean, if a person is in this life, in the present life, he or she wants to know that what is coming in the future. So if astrology is a tool, can we use it as a predictive astrology? Can we predict our future?
Here's the thing. Because we still have free will, we don't say it that way. What I can predict is the delivery of karmas you created in a previous life. I can tell you the delivery schedule. It's like UPS. If I say, when's the package going to arrive, they can tell me. If I say what's inside, they say, none of my business. You find out when you get it. So an astrologer is not supposed to make predictions. And they're not supposed to tell people what to do. They're supposed to help the people to understand the process of how the universe works and the dates and times when certain packages might arrive on their doorstep. And it's one of the first things you learn in Vedic astrology is never tell people what to do. Because if you do, you get the karma.
You get the karma, right? There are certain myths about astrology. If we talk about Western astrology and Vedic astrology as well, both have different two sides. Like first, we are talking about Vedic astrology. I just want to understand that what are those myths related with the Parashari or Vedic astrology? Because people sometimes call it fake, or people use it as a tool to, fraud people.
Well, first of all, they're not astronomically correct. So Western astrology is 24 degrees incorrect, full stop, period. You can go home now. That means Western astrology is just wrong. They don't use the stars. They use another way of calculation that is incorrect. So that's first. Second,
All right.
then if you use the correct calculation, then you're actually using the stars and planets in the positions that they're in the sky right now. That's called sidereal astrology. You're using the stars to accurately discuss what planet is with what star and what is the implication of that. Now, the next question is, to whom? To whom? Because in everyone's chart, those particular stars and planets are in particular places in the chart that indicate the cause and effect from previous lives that is on its way to be delivered to the person. So just think of it this way. Every single one of us has had thousands of births before and hundreds of human births. And in those human births, we did things whose effect we never received. We never got paid. We never got the quid pro quo. We never got the karma for what we did. So it's waiting to come to us. There's a delivery schedule. There's a whole team of millions of devas and devis who are doing the deliveries here within the realm of matter. And we are in somebody's delivery schedule. Now, I can look at your time of birth, see where the planets were then, see where they are now, and I can see different departments of reality being touched by the planet's positions at this time. And just like this object in the sky that the whole planet Earth is talking about now, that what is it? Where does it come from? How is it doing what it's doing? So when you know the Navagrahas, the 9 planets, you can ask the question, what is Jupiter doing right now? How long will it be in its least favorite position or most favorite position? What is my Jupiter like when I was born? Is this a department that I'm working on and I'm deficient in? So I should do upaya. I should do something to remedy it. But I'll need a guru for that. So I need to find myself into the system of karma. And this is what makes Vedic astrology what it is. The rest of the world doesn't believe in karma because they only have one lifetime.
Because you are mentioning that there are different, जैसे if there is a human will again take birth in the human cycle only? Or is there any chakra that comes in the between?
If they're not careful, they may become the dog they used to love so much. Just imagine this. You have a puppy and you love that puppy and you kiss the puppy and hug the puppy and go everywhere with the puppy. So when you leave your body, if there was an automobile accident, you'd look over at your dog and that would be the last thing you'd think of. So you'd take birth as a dog in your next life. You want to hug a dog? Here, get in a dog's body. But that's not your last life. Then you'd go from the dog. You do that for a certain amount of time. And then, but because you had been a human, you'll pop back into a human body after finishing the dog body. So you have to take a big world view and a big time view to get this. But whatever you think about at the moment of death and the sum total of what you did while you were alive, add up to the body that you're going to get in your next life. Think of it as your car. So think of that as your karma. This is your vehicle. This is your car. And it's running on karma. It's running on things you did previously, which have finally matured, and they're now sending the check to you. Or they're not going to.
Okay. I'm very much interested in talking about Rahu and Ketu because these are considered as shadow planets. How much they have an effect on us?
Well, you know, when I studied psychology, it was a big deal that Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung all showed that we had an unconscious being as well as a conscious self, and that our unconscious self was carrying a bunch of stuff we don't even know about. It's the same thing. What if there's a whole slew of things that are going to be delivered to you this lifetime. Would you like to know? Then you'd have to divide them into categories to talk about them. And this is the whole point. That's called Samkhya Yoga. Samkhya Yoga means understanding all the categories. And what do you say? Well, I'll show you. What is this called? Tell me. What is it called? Okay. Now, is it me?
No.
No, not iti, not me. Well, once I'm holding it, I start to think maybe it is me. But then it drops out of my hand and I realize I was deluded. So is this me? Or is this just my finger? If you cut off my finger, will I still be alive? If I don't bleed to death? In that case, I could cut this finger off and there. No, I'm still me. But I'm not as capable in using my body, my twin. So what if all of this is not me? Then that's called yoga. We start with what I'm not, and we move toward, well, then what am I? And if that's the case, what are all these planets doing? Well, they're delivering karma. What do you mean? Well, because you don't just have one lifetime. Astrology makes no sense until you realize that you have thousands of lifetimes. And as a human, until you say you're done and show you're done and prove that you're done, and that's called moksha, then you're not done. So you will come back again. And when you do, a delivery schedule of karma that you created in a previous life that is going to be put on your doorstep.
But Jeffery, astrology is something that we are meant to use in this lifetime only. It is a tool to predict, to help people. So basically, I just want to understand what is the purpose of it. You are saying that there are certain limits in which you can use astrology. Either when you
actually the thing is that the entire universe is a delayed delivery system. That's the first thing we have to understand. Until we understand that, astrology is still not going to be understandable. The next is, in order to do this, you have to divide everything into departments and put somebody in charge of this and someone in charge of this and someone in charge of this. So in astrology, the planet Venus is the planet of being artistic, aesthetic. It could be painting. It could be poetry. It could be dancing. It could be all kinds of things. But the planet Venus has a particular set of characteristics. And if you have that planet in a sign that makes it strong, you will show this in your behaviors. You'll show the Venus. And so what sign is your Venus in? Do you know?
Are you asking my chart?
Well, I would guess that you have a good Venus because you're a good dresser. You're very articulate. And I would say you have a strong Mercury and a strong Venus.
Really? Okay.
Now, what about me? Do you think maybe?
You have a strong Mars just because of your forehead?
Good. I have Mars in Scorpio. I have Mars in Scorpio with Ketu. I've done 7 styles of martial arts. So on. Yes. How about you? What I said about you? Are you articulate?
Yes.
Yes. Did you do anything with that? Did you write or did you do anything artistic?
I love writing. I love writing.
You like poetry?
Sometimes. Because my father does it, so sometimes, yes, I do. And, in Vedic astrology, people believe that if we are talking about Venus, so it is related with Ma Lakshmi. If you're talking about Mangal, it is related with Lord Hanuman. And like if you're talking about Jupiter, it is related with Lord Vishnu. How much you believe in that?
Well, I'll just tell you one thing real quick. Sanskrit doesn't have the word Lord. It's a Christian term. So don't use it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's one of the forbidden English words. That's because Christianity corrupted English. And when Sanskrit is translated incorrectly, it's translated into corrupt English. And this is one of the big issues we're in right now. Why? Because there's 52 letters in Sanskrit alphabet, right? And thousands of grammatical rules. Why? So we can be more precise, so that we can spot things with more precision. Now, why is that? Because we have many lifetimes. Well, who's running the show then? And this is back to answer your question. I thought you'd never ask, but you did. So there's 3 departments: the creative department, the maintaining department, and the destruction department. And so there are 3 department heads. Destructive department, Shiva, Durga. Creative department, Brahma, Saraswati. Maintaining department, Vishnu, Lakshmi. In other words, a Vedic viewpoint is that the entire universe is an organization. And it has department heads, and our chart shows where we are on a scale of 1 to 1,000 in capabilities in all those departments. Why? Because we have as many lifetimes as we want to stay within matter. Or we will have to stay in matter if we don't do something to get out. Getting out of called taking this again, rebirth, samsara. So the Vedic viewpoint is the only big viewpoint on our planet.
All right.
The rest are
So
reminded.
I just, because you mentioned rebirth, so I also want to talk about it. But before this, let me understand that can astrology coexist with the psychology or neuroscience and modern science?
The question is, can they exist with astrology? Because they just stole parts of astrology and made a name for themselves and called themselves a subject. All of that came from astrology and from Ayurveda. And they stole it and didn't even say thank you. They just took it during the colonial era when the countries of Europe went to India, to Bharat, I like to say, and stole as much as they could. And then did they give them credit? No, they didn't want to give them credit. They gave Jesus credit for Vedic Vidya. But what they did not do is say that Christians can have many lifetimes because they don't have much knowledge. So they act now, only right now, do it right now. That's Christian way. Vedic way is to say, when you're ready, you have as many lifetimes as you want. You can't die. You're an Atma. Aham Brahmasmi. You're from Brahman. And we have in the Vedic culture through Sanskrit an explanation of things that are not experienceable here within matter except by hearing about them, which is the job of the guru. So this entire scale of reality, of seeing this way and having the big picture, that's called a Mahatma. The word got ruined when Gandhi used it because he wasn't a Mahatma. He was just a political figure with some knowledge, but he was not really a guru in the larger sense of the word. But that's a good example of the colonial era where he got called a Mahatma. Spoiled the word. A real Mahatma is someone who has the big picture. And they're no longer bound within Prakriti, within matter. And this is the Vedic view that's just now getting ready to blossom. And this show that you're doing this is a great example. Because you're leading.
And so is that the reason that many Western people are coming towards Hinduism, or they are following Vedic astrology or Vedas?
Well, it kind of depends on their chart. It depends on their previous life. It depends on their Jupiter. Now, this is where, great question, because now we go, well, I don't know, let's take a look at their chart. How's their Mercury, Budhi? How's their Jupiter, Guru, Aspati? And let's see what they're like, what they're capable of. And what houses is it in? What do you mean? What departments of life have they brought in them at a higher level of accomplishment? Well, how could they do that if they only have one life? You're right, they can't. So this is the point. Right now, in the world we live in, people that you run into either do or do not have a big view. If they don't know they have hundreds and thousands of lifetimes in which to figure this out, then they're duratma, little tiny mind. They only see one life. They see a little bigger. It's getting bigger. And this is welcome to the Vedic culture, where the guru is trying to open your view to the big view.
All right. Just because there are other practices also that people do. There is another subject called numerology, tarot card reading. How much do you believe in that? Palmistry, where people read their hands. So how much do you believe in this?
Well, I've done all of it. In my journey, before I got to Jyotish, I did all of that. I actually spent 4 years of my 20s working in a metaphysical bookstore that had books from every esoteric books from every culture in the world. And that's where I started. And I eventually decided that the Vedic culture was the best among all of them. Dedicated my life, went into an ashram and spent 5 years as a brahmachari. So this culture, I know for sure, and I can prove it, is the most important and immense fund of knowledge on our planet, with the most perfect language on our planet, Sanskrit. It's debatable, and if anyone wants to debate, I'm up. Let's do it. And you'll go home with your tail between your legs because you'll say Latin is as big as Sanskrit. Nope. How about Greek? Nope. How about Russian? Nope. English? Nope. Keep going. And nope. Just generally, nope. So now what? Well, it depends on how serious you are about knowing what you don't know. But to do that, you need word, and you need language, and you need, and so welcome to yoga. Jnana yoga. You know what it is. Jnana, and it's a little tilde over the end, so it's pronounced jnana yoga. Jnana, jnana, jnana. Because this is what Bharat has. Jnana yoga, everything is analyzed. Before there was so-called science, before any of these things came along, they stole what they have mostly from Bharat, from India. Then they developed it separately at universities. They haven't yet apologized and said where they got it from. But that's what I'm doing. One of the things I'm doing is pointing out that the world's knowledge came from Bharat. It didn't come from these other places. It went through them by a degradation of the language.
All right. I remember that you started with that Sanskrit verse. Since I'm going to talk about rebirth, I just want you to just chant one mantra or one verse from Bhagavad Gita once again. Anyone which is favorite of yours?
That's an unspoken word that nobody else knows. Because God isn't Bhagavan. It's not a synonym. Lord doesn't mean anything. Actually, it's Heflard. But it's really just a sloppy English word.
Okay.
So Bhagavan is the term. And Bhaga, there are 6 Bhagas: beauty, wealth, strength, fame, knowledge, and detachment. Now, raise your hand if you'd like to have an unlimited supply of those. Unlimited supply of beauty, unlimited supply.
I think everyone would do.
So these are those 6 Bhagas, and the name of the supreme person in the Vedic knowledge, in the Vedas, is Sri Bhagavan. Van means one who possesses. And Bhaga is the 6 qualities: beauty, wealth, strength, fame, knowledge, detachment. To an unlimited degree is Van. So one who possesses an unlimited amount of those is the supreme being. That is the best definition of supreme being on our planet. There's none better.
Okay.
I stand.
So what is this difference between, if we are talking about Christianity, then people just see it as there is a differentiation between God. Either you talk about Jesus Christ. In Islam, they have a different set of beliefs. And when we talk about Hinduism, we have different deities, different
It's not
Bhagwan.
Hindu. It's not Hindu, and it's not an ism, and it's not a religion. It's what I just said it was, and theirs is not. They don't have a language with a large vocabulary. They do not have the knowledge that I was just referring to. They're ignorant. They're blind faith only. They have no real understanding of who we are, and they think we live for one lifetime. In fact, they're abysmally ignorant and arrogant because they try to superimpose a one lifetime uneducated youth on the world. And they've been trying to do that for years at gunpoint. The good news is the Vedas isn't taught at gunpoint. That's also not going to happen.
So can you give any example that if we talk about Islam and if we talk about Christianity?
Well, I don't need to tell you much about gunpoint with Islam. That's what they are. I call it I slam. I call them I slam all of you. Because they just pull their weapon out and say, we're right, you're wrong, do or die. One lifetime. Same thing for Christianity. That's where the Pope ended up. That's where everybody else ended up. Same thing. Colonized the world, stole everything at gunpoint. In the name of who? Jesus. I see. You mean that really nice guy, Jesus? He wanted to rob the world? Well, that's what you did. And and Judaism? Well, less than, but still the same. Same small-minded, same limited viewpoint, same no explanation for more than one lifetime. So they're all various degrees of sincere, which I always say. They have moments of sincerity and genuineness. So that also matters. But what they don't have is knowledge beyond their one little, small, not very interesting book, which doesn't teach about time. So Kalohi Smin, Brahmabhuta Prasanatma Nasochiti Nakankshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Para. It leads to a state of understanding of the person behind it all. And God doesn't mean that. There is no discussion of the person of the Supreme in the Bible, in Judaism, in Islam, none. But this is the basis of what? Purna Avatar. When that ultimate person, Sri Bhagavan, comes to earth, which happened 7,000 years ago and 14,000 years ago, from which we get the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. So, and the reason I'm saying it this way with you, which I really appreciate, and it is that this is what the world needs to hear gently, respectfully, when they're ready. So I never force people to hear this. I don't point my finger at them and tell them they're stupid. I just say, when you're ready, I'll give you another view. What kind of viewpoint? Mahatma. The big view. Well, you have the small view. That's nice. You have a view, but it's small. It's one lifetime. A little bit this, a little bit this, a little bit this.
But Jeffrey ji, there are different negative characters in Hindu scriptures as well, who try to impose their thoughts on people. If you take Ravan, if you take Kans, Shakuni is the one character, and there are many in Mahabharata. So how do you see these characters?
Well, I never said there weren't crazy, ugly, nasty people in the world. They're called Asura. And Sura, the word Sur is the root of Surya, the sun. So there are some humans who have decided to be in darkness, or some beings. They not even lose their humanity. They're just a being, and they're an Asura. They're a monster. There are monsters that are here on our planet right now. and at every time in history. And they just go around destroying everything, exploiting everything, sucking the life out of people. They're vampires, they're Frankensteins, they're monsters. Yeah, they are. And that is what the Mahabharata was about. And so it's a great question. In both books, the Ramayana, 14,000 years ago, and the Mahabharata, 7,000 years ago, which blows all the other one lifetime religions out of the water. They don't know anything about anything that long. But that's the historical, astrological dating of the Vedic culture. And so therefore, the people that won't listen to that are in blind faith religions, and they're blinded, so they don't listen. But if they pay attention, Jyotish can show them with astronomy the actual cycles of the grahas, of the planets. And those cycles of the planets are measurable, and we're in the midst of that measurable reality, which has been completely ignored by the Abrahamic religions.
All right. Okay. Since you have a great knowledge of astrology, Vedic astrology, can we see rebirth in our natal chart, in the Vedic chart? Or we can say Kundli.
Well, like your question about Rahu and Ketu, it's important. Rahu represents one possibility, which means you could become as materialistic as you possibly could, greedy, selfish, just about me, take. That's Rahu personified. So that's Rahu in matter. Or you could become Ketu and you could say, no, I don't care. No, I don't care what I own. No, all I need is a meal today and, a loincloth. I'm okay. So that's Ketu. So then there are two states, greedy for matter and getting a big pile of it and trying to get as much as I can, Rahu. And this is a character. You know these people. I know these people. And then there's Ketu. Couldn't care less. Nope. Only needs one outfit or two. One's in the laundry. I'm wearing this one. That's Ketu. I don't need this. I don't need that. Not iti, not iti, not iti, not iti. So then that's two planets. So now if you have Ketu prominent in your chart, you're going to be the one who doesn't care and isn't attached to matter. And that's because you've worked on that in previous lifetimes and brought that Ketu in with you this lifetime. So now, which do I have stronger, Rahu or Ketu?
That's the question, I guess. Now, let me just...
I'll tell you what she just did. She's smart enough in astrology, and I actually have both sides of it strong. But
you tell me which one is more on the presentable side in my chart.
Yes.
I'll
tell you something interesting. I actually made a full-time living for 7 years ridiculing technology and saying how crazy it was.
All right.
As a corporate speaker to Fortune 500 companies, I created a character, Saint Silicon, the founder of the world's first computer religion, CHIP, the Church of Heuristic Information Processing. It's the first computer religion. Why did I do that? To make fun of technology and say that technology was ruining humanity. And it still is. If you're not careful, technology will ruin your humanity. So
do you think AI will overpower humanity?
Well, I don't know. The jury's out still. But if we're not careful, I know it will. Because I've seen it. All around the planet. And I was in the midst of Silicon Valley when it was born. So I knew Steve Jobs, Wozniak, the whole crew. I was there when the computers came into being and selling them. I worked for Apple and for other technology companies. My point was, Ketu, if you go to the extreme, you have nothing. A loincloth, a few possessions, they're in my little bag, here, we're done. Rahu, if you go to the other extreme, I'm a billionaire. But not all billionaires are evil. If I'm a Rahu billionaire, I might just take care of the whole world with my riches and my money and my billions of dollars. So it's interesting.
It is interesting, no doubt. And I have, I will say two sentences. You just correct me if I'm wrong. Rahu is responsible for illusion, and Ketu is a headless energy. How do you see that?
Rahu is drunk on materialism, and Ketu is renouncing the whole thing unnecessarily at its extreme.
Right.
So
And it's
both of them, they're the two extremes. You can go naked with just a loincloth, own nothing, and say, this is me. Hi, I'm Ketu. Or you can be Rahu and have everything and own everything and control with everything. And I'm nothing but the money I have. I'm all about that billions of dollars I have. Welcome to Rahu.
Exactly. So let's just come on to the 8th house, because it's what we call the mysterious house of the Kundli. If someone is having Rahu sitting or Ketu sitting in the 8th house, what does that mean? Do they have any connection with the past life?
Well, all of this has connections with past life. But the degree to which and the things that are coming from each of these so-called houses, which for those of you who don't exactly understand, at the moment of your birth, the sky can be divided into 12 departments. Of the 360 degrees of the circle, then there's 30 degrees and times 12 is 360. So there are 12 different departments in your chart, and those departments each represent an area of life. But so do the planets, and they're the ones that are bringing something in from a particular department of life. You might say that's importing. And where the stars are is part of this. So this is where we go with Jyotish. That Rahu at its extreme is the wealthy person who's exploiting their wealth and exploiting the world because they can. On the other hand, if Jupiter was strong enough and in the right place, the person with a strong Rahu would be funding thousands of organizations and benefiting the whole world. They would use their strong Rahu because their Jupiter would overpower it and not be distracted by being a billionaire. But the exploiting billionaire, Rahu at his worst. The beneficial billionaire, Rahu at his best. But you can be pretty sure that if Rahu's strong and Jupiter is also stronger, then the person will be Jupiter, and they will use Rahu in the service of Jupiter. And so it goes. So I'll tell you the biggest secret here as an astrologer. A properly trained astrology does not tell people what to do. Nor do they make predictions.
That's the crux of the story.
What they do is they point to different departments so that the person still can decide. Or as my guru put it, if you tell someone what to do, you eat their karma.
All right.
So as a Jyotishi, I never tell people what to do. I show them what they could do and what their choices are. But the way I show it is designed to work for their particular karma and their particular planets. So I speak the language of the planets that they have strong, and I show them how they might be in charge of their decision rather than just dragged along by the past.
But what if a person is going to an astrologer, and if the Jupiter is weak or the Rahu is weak or retrograde, some planets are retrograde, then the astrologer is asking them to offer water to Surya, right? Or offer milk to moon. There are certain remedies which are called as the karmic remedies. How much is correct? These things are correct.
That's called upayam.
Upaya remedies.
Yeah. And so some of it is useful, but actually, it's the secondary problem that's come up, is that Jyotish has been manipulated into a materialistic science, when in fact, it's all about moksha. It's ultimately, it's important to keep the ultimate aim in mind. So what is the ultimate aim of human existence? And if you don't answer moksha, you're going to manipulate with astrology. If you say moksha, then you'll know better than to use astrology to manipulate, because it's insider information. I, as someone who's been practicing this for so many years now, I can see something in someone's life, and if I want to, I can exploit it because I can see it. So it's like having inside information. It's like having, so this is the thing that's important. Jyotish and the Vedic culture are all based around devas and devis. It only looks out there.
It was wonderful. I think the way you explained it is just so beautiful. Thank you very much for being with us, Jeffrey ji, and it was wonderful talking to you.
What you're doing is wonderful. It was a pleasure to be here with you. Anything I can do, please let me know. Namaste.